Hi everybody, welcome to Jenkins Boat Works. I am Chuck Jenkins. In this video, we're going to continue working on our Yukon racing kayak. If you haven't seen a video for a minute on our channel, we have taken a break on the Somme Sound sailboat project because we got a paying gig. I've been commissioned to build a racing kayak for a friend of mine who will be taking it and competing in the MR340. For those unfamiliar, the MR340 is a river race down the Missouri River, basically across the entire state of Missouri. Starts in Kansas City and 340 miles later winds up in St. Charles, which is pretty close to St. Louis. So we are super excited to be on this project and involved in the overall race effort. As you might imagine, 340 miles is a grueling event, and I think the record pace on it is somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 hours. So people go nonstop through the night and everything. So anyway, so we're building this kayak for my friend, and he picked out this design from Guillemot Kayaks, which is a Nick Shada design. And so we've had some contact with Nick and got the plans, and I believe this is going to be episode 4. And where we are now is heavy duty stripping, cedar stripping on the hull. And I am going to have quite a bit of video here, and I think this will be a 2-part video as far as the stripping and the tips and the tricks that I'm going to share. So whether you're building a strip built kayak or canoe or larger boat or paddleboard, a whole lot of these tips and tricks will apply. And it's one of those things where I've built numerous boats with cedar strip construction, and you learn a lot of things, in fact, every time that you do it. And I've learned some things this time as well. So we're glad you're here. I hope you'll enjoy this, and if you're looking for some constructive tips on how to do cedar strip construction, I'm hoping that you'll get something out of this and learn some things that you can try in your own projects. If you would happen to be new to the channel, welcome, and hope that you will enjoy this. If you're looking for a boat building project, hopefully this is it. And so consider subscribing, and everybody, please give us a thumbs up and leave your comments. We love to see all those and try to answer them all. And it's just a great community to be able to provide content for. So we're going to jump in, and I'm going to show you how we're stripping this kayak, and it's coming along great. I'm super happy with it. All right, so far we got these little 1/2-inch strips on here. Now I've got a 3/4, and I'm going to try that. This is a relatively flat, not too much twist in it. So the 3/4 should be able to go on there. So I lay those clamps on there, just kind of hold it up there, otherwise they just go everywhere. And you might be able to see I've got a little scarf right there, and I need to clean that up. There's glue on it. So I just got a sanding 80 grit. I don't want any lumps in there, because if I have any lumps in there, it won't lay down on that last strip. If you're not familiar with this, this is an invention by Nick Shada at Guillemot Kayak. I bought this from him a number of years ago. It's got a little tiny plane in here. And this blade on this is just almost exactly 1/4 inch. So when you got a 1/4 inch strip, it's just perfect. And so what you can do is lay it on here with this housing kind of even with the frame there. And then what it does is it just bevels off the inside of your strip. See there? Really easy to do. Just the finest little bits coming off of there. You know, the other way of doing this is with a bead and cove. A lot of people do it that way. I just never have. And I kind of like planing them off like that. I don't know, it's kind of satisfying actually. Oh yeah, that tightened that up. See, that's making a nice, I'm gonna have to staple that in. It's pulling away. That's fine. That's why we were doing staples. But if that's in there like that, see, look how tight that is. Where's my staple? I don't know that you can see that, but see, I can bend that in. That's got to go. Now that pulled that in. When we glue it, then that'll hold it. I'm just using Tite Bond wood glue. I've used Tite Bond 3, but that's a waterproof glue. It really doesn't matter because this is all going to be encased in epoxy and fiberglass, so it just doesn't matter. A gap in here. I pulled this first strip down to match on my shear line, but that was a harsh bend. So we'll fill this in later with cheater strips. This one I just kind of let flow naturally into here. And then we're gonna put whoa, that's what keeps happening. Okay. It doesn't take a ton of glue. It's awful easy to get too much. It's not just on every single little spot. It really doesn't matter. I generally do this in the middle first. And work out to the ends. I'm using the T150 1/2 inch. See that? We're going to tape that. Got a 2 for that time. I'm going to put some tape around those. That's where this gap is. I don't know if you can see that. See that glue squeezing? Pull it down and tape. There'll be a few more places back up here. The other thing you can do with the tape is kind of make sure your strips are together, like not only this way, but this way. Went from having a 1/2 inch strip, this is 3/4, and we were able to make that, which I'm happy to see. When I'd measured earlier, we were 24 inches over the most widest part of the boat. So if you had 1 inch strips, you'd be 24 strips. 1/2 inch strips would have been 48, which seems like a lot. So we're up to 4 strips on each side. And we're still stapling them to the forms, but you can see here that I am using some tape. Just kind of pulls those together. It's amazing how much clamping power there is with tape. There's places where this curves pretty abruptly, and so, you know, you just gotta do whatever you can to try to make it all lay fair. All right, now we're kind of getting to a tricky part because we're at a point here, we're coming up to this little point here on the transom. So I measured that and I've got some leftover strip here. Now here's 1/2 inch. If I lay that on there, We're gonna be shy just a little bit. And then I got 3/4 inch here. And if I put that on there, see, that takes that all the way right up to the point of that. And then similarly on the other side there. Now we're gonna have to bevel that pretty hard because that's a pretty sharp turn there. But yeah, I think we're gonna be able to get away with using a 3/4 strip on this one. And I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to use 3/4 all the way here up forward. So I did have one other thing about the robo bevel that I want to show you. We'll take this tape off of here and get ready to do the next strip. One other thing, because we're always constantly worried about the symmetry of this. And so we have these reference lines, like in here, and they come across. And what I'm noticing quite happily is that where the strips are coming, so like if you concentrate on this one right here, you see that strip's just barely above that. Well, same deal on the other side. And when I look forward, like we're just staying right on it. Like that one's pretty much right on that line, and so is the other one. So that's really good news because that tells me that we're getting our strips laid down tightly and uniformly and symmetrically. So that's fantastic. Okay, so we had looked at this robo bevel in a video clip earlier. It's got this little plane. You get this plane from Veritas. It doesn't come with this from Nick, so you have to order this separately. I'm missing a magnet right there. Anyway, so it's magnets and it just holds it on there. So anyway, so when you're coming along and doing this, just hold it against that frame and then it just planes that right along there. Now, one of the things about this is it has a tendency to clog up in there, or that you got to, every so often you got to kind of get some of that strip out of there. So you create a progressive bevel by just holding it down against the frames. Okay, so one of the things that happens though with it is that as you're coming along by the frame, sometimes you'll have the smallest little bit in here that it can't get because it's getting pushed away by the frame. So I've got a little X-Acto knife, just a little pen knife, and I come in there and I'll just trim that off right next to that frame right there. And we're not talking about much. That's it. And you can feel it. See right there, there's a little ridge right there. It's going to come in there. Just smooth that out with this little knife. I'm sure there's a bunch of people watching that are like, if you did bead and cove, you wouldn't have to worry about that. Just take that inside edge off just a little bit. It really will help that strip lay in there more fair. Okay, so then the other thing you do is just come in here and clean that up just a little bit. Well, that feels great. Yeah, I see a little spot right there. That's what I'm talking about that filling up. The trash in there, I gotta get that out of there. Sometimes I carry a little awl around with me, a little sharp pointy awl. You clean that out of there. It won't cut right if you don't get that cleaned out of there. This actually is the trickiest part right here. And I am gonna just kind of take that, see there how much better that is, but it's still got a little gap there. I'm just taking this inside edge off of here. That's better. Yeah, that's better. Just a little bit more. I don't need all this extra part on here, and I'm going to saw that off. But it does help be able to put a clamp on there to hold those strips next to each other and keep them like smooth. Now we're kind of rough here, and that strip's terrible. It's real narrow. I didn't know it. I'm gonna have to fill in on top of that, but that's doable. So I did all my work with the robo bevel, my little knife, and sanding and all that. And I'm test fitting, and man, when I just go to push this down here, we're getting a nice tight joint. So, you know, it's time spent now getting it nice and fair and smooth to where, because the smoother this is, from strip to strip, the less scraping and sanding and hassle I got to deal with later. So, and I am quite pleased with how this is coming back up here on this transom. That's working out really good. Yeah. All right, we're gonna throw some glue on here and put this one down. When I go to tape these, just to try to get my joints as tight as possible, I'm using frog tape. This stuff's awesome. So it's tough, I can pull it, it sticks well, and it actually comes off pretty easy too. Okay, so we got all these stapled, and they're really, you know, pretty good. I pressed down hard with my hand when I was stapling. But the other thing is sometimes your strip, it may be sticking out a little bit or in a little bit. So what I like to do is just bring that tape down there like that. Make sure you can feel that. Make sure that's nice and smooth and tight, and then lock that down. Now here's exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know if you can see that little ridge right there. It's good here, but it's just sticking out. It's just proud of this last strip. So what I'm going to do, and on this one I think we're going to use a couple of pieces of tape. I'm going to push that back in there and then pull that tight. And now I got that smooth. I probably didn't need a piece there, but see, yeah, there too. Now, and that's just, it's pretty close to being parallel with itself, but I feel like I can squeeze that strip a little bit tighter. Like this, and then it's got to stand up more vertically. And it's a twist, and the Cedar will take that twist. I'm amazed when I built the Haven. I was amazed at how much I could twist and move my Cedar. See that glue squeeze out right there? squeezed out right there and right there. That's all a good sign, but let's wipe it off of there. It is Monday, February 17th. And so we've got a little update on our stripping. We've been putting these strips along the side and on both sides, and been very happy with the way it's coming up here into the inner stem. They're just laying so nice and even on there and easy to glue up. Now, we did run into a bit of a trick back here because this boat has a transom. Small as it is, it has a transom. And you can see it right there. And so it's pretty tricky to get the strips to bend around such a tight, small area. And so I couldn't figure out how to do this top part up here. So I decided to go ahead and run some strips down the middle. And we glued this up last night. And so you can see that we had to make them very narrow and beveled back in here to achieve our goal. And so those strips then run all the way up to the front. And I'm even still a little bit perplexed about how this is going to work out up here, because I trimmed them down super narrow because we actually wind up here on top of part of this inner stem right here. So they may have to be trimmed back even more to match the bevel of this. So it's just going to be kind of tricky to see how that's going to lay in there. But we'll just do it a strip at a time. And I want to try to get this strip on here. We got an extra one on there so far, so this is the next side. So go ahead and do that. And of course, we're going to have to fit it in back here, but it should be a little easier now because it's not going from vertical to almost flat like it is back there. These were super tricky to do. So anyway, more progress. So we got some progress on our stripping, and we are getting ready to put another strip on. The only thing that's kind of tricky with this right now is we've got this spot back here where we've got to cut our strip to fit in there. And so basically I lay the strip down in here on its edge, and then I make a mark. Well, I try to put the strip right at the end up here, and then make a mark back here to where the other one intersects it. And we'll do that here in a minute and show you. The other thing I just came up with, I had these little clamps that I've used, little pieces of plywood, little cleats that I've used when I have built canoes and not done stapling. So the idea is you take these little cleats and you hold your strip down one to the other, and then you clamp this against the mold. And it holds it. You can kind of bend it and hold that next strip down while the glue sets up. It's kind of cumbersome and time consuming. And I haven't been using them while I've been doing this, although I may start. Because one of the things I'm noticing is sometimes I get a staple in and then it just doesn't feel like it's down as tight, and I'm having to really push down hard. And that's been okay as long as I could reach my hand around the whole thing, but we're getting to a point where that's not really going to be possible. So I may kind of clamp these down with these cleats before I staple. Now, the other thing that I just came up with is I've been having a hard time putting the glue on here because, you know, we're getting to more of a horizontal surface, and so I put my glue bead on here and it wants to drip down. So I'm trying to smooth it with my finger and I'm getting it all over myself. Not that that might not still happen, but it's just messy. And so what I thought is, well, let's use these cleats and put this strip vertical here while I put the glue on it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run the glue on the strip, and then we'll pull these cleats. So this will be the edge that ends up going down on here. So I've just got it clamped in there to where it's upright. Plus, it's not flopping all over the place. These strips are 18 feet, and man, they're just wonky. Now, we are quickly getting to a point where we're not going to need 18 feet anymore. Here's my scarf with the extra 2 feet on the end of here, and you can see that we're getting really close to not needing that extra length anymore. So another strip or two, and because we're gaining on both ends. Well, you can see because I've got this strip on the other side. So right now I have to come back to here for this current strip, but the other one corresponding on the other side is already there, and we gained probably 5 inches, 6 inches from where it's pieced in to here. Having that strip held upright just makes it so much easier to put that glue on. This has got to bend kind of severely right there. And I'm just going to go ahead and put a clamp right on that. And that twists it, holds it down. And then I can come back and nail that down. That's how you do it. Now let's wipe that excess glue off of there. Going through some staples and some paper towels. If you like the video, remember to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.